All right, guys. Welcome back. Before we get into the individual names, let's do a quick market update because today's tape was driven heavily by macro. Broadly, the market was under pressure after a weak jobs report with non-farm payrolls coming in negative and unemployment taking higher. And that immediately brought growth concerns back into the picture. At the same time, the bigger story was still oil. Crude kept ripping higher all day as the market reacted to escalating Middle East conflict, the ongoing Strait of Hormuz risk, and the missile and drone headlines, and more disruption fears tied to global energy flow in general. So you also had more chatter around shipping risk, as well as GPS jamming in the region, and the market clearly pricing in a real energy shock. So the theme today was pretty simple. Stocks weak, volatility up, and oil is going strong, and traders rotating into energy and momentum names tied to the news flow. And that brings us into the tickers that I quickly want to talk about. Starting with TURB, that was one of the cleanest momentum names on the board this week. It was alerted at around 69 cents, and from there the stock went on an absolute tear, eventually running all the way to 544 in after hours yesterday. Now, technically speaking, this chart was a textbook multi-leg momentum breakout. You had an early base form around the lower levels, and then the first expansion leg pushed it higher. Now, after that, instead of fully falling apart, the stock kept building new consolidation zones and higher lows, which is exactly what you want to see in strong low flow momentum. Then, once it started reclaiming and holding key breakout areas around the mid-range levels, momentum really accelerated. And the move through that $3 area was especially important because the that no, there really wasn't much overhead resistance left in the stock moved into more of a price discovery phase. Now, that's when the after hour squeeze took over and it sent it over at 5 yesterday. So for me, the biggest takeaway on TURB is the structure. The things that need to be taken a look at during the analysis: base, the break, consolidation phases, and the break and extension that followed. And that's exactly the kind of traders want to stay focused on when momentum is live. So next up is TPET, and that one is a really good example of a stock where macro and technicals lined up together. Now, the first expansion run really started around March 2nd when the chart started pushing out of the consolidation and building momentum. Now, then on March 4th, the stock, as we already know, the stock saw a sharp dip as some diplomatic headlines temporarily cooled the energy trade. So you get that fast pullback. Oil stocks do that. It's normal. But when the oil narrative comes right back, as long as you're keeping track of that news, you should have known that it's coming back. As the Middle East situation, clearly we already expected it, escalated again, and as markets starting pricing in more Hormuz risk and possible supply disruptions, oil names, as expected, started catching strong bids again. And that triggered the second expansion move in TPET. Now, technically, the main level here is 225 on the day. That's the key resistance the chart has been trying to fight through. You can see price repeatedly testing that area, but not fully clearing and holding it yet today. So if that 225 breaks clean with volume, then the next major upside area on the chart, in my opinion, sits around 320 plus. So this is one of those names where the setup is very clear. It's oil names. They need to remain hot, news stay supportive of that theme in particular, and a breakout through that key 225 zone opens the door for the next leg. PRSO. Let's talk about PRSO. This one was added in the 90s, and what made it really interesting is that it was not some random straight up chaser move. It was actually a delayed expansion setup after about a month of consolidation since it was alerted. That matters because when a stock spends that much time compressing in a range, it usually means supply is slowly getting absorbed. And once that breakout finally comes, the move can be pretty violent. PR today, we already expected it was coming. Drone news, semiconductors, and we already know it was coming. But we just didn't know when. It was a when not if kind of stock. And that's exactly what happened here. The key breakout zone was around 125 to 130 area. That had been acting as resistance. And once price finally pushed through it, the chart opened up. From there, momentum followed through, and the stock expanded all the way up to 206 to 215 region today. So that 206 high, that's a clean read on PRSO as a long base, pressure building, resistance breaks, and then expansion. So those are some of the best momentum setups because the move is built on real consolidation rather than pure randomness. And lastly, we just want to quickly cover AIFF. This one was a really clean support resistance flip setup. It was added in after hours yesterday, alerted around 150, when the main idea of being that the 15-minute SR support resistance flip at that level is something that needs to be paid attention to. That was the whole trade thesis. Now, the stock reclaimed that key level, held above it, and then gave a very, very clean reaction from there today. It pushed all the way up to 215 at the highs, which is exactly the kind of response you want when a lower time frame reclaim actually works. Now, what I like here is how simple the chart was. No need to overcomplicate it. It was basically a reclaim structure, turn it into a support, and then hold the level and then expand. Those are often some of the cleanest intraday and short-term setups because the invalidation is obvious and the reaction can be sharp if momentum comes in. So overall today, it gave us a pretty clear picture of setups. TURB with the massive multi-leg momentum expansion this week, TPET moving with oil and geopolitical risk, and PRSO breaking out after a long consolidation base, and then we have AIFF with a clean 15-minute support resistance flip. Now, let's not forget about how well MOBX trade that we took yesterday is going so far as well. Again, same sector, drones, and you know, uh, the selective momentum in the right names will continue, to be great winners for us as long as we're keeping track of the exact themes that are coming in and day out. So I'll probably see you with another video maybe this weekend or on Monday, and have a great weekend.